Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our weekly Essential Education live stream. We hope that this live stream finds you well, and whether you're joining us on Facebook or on YouTube, we are glad that you're here. We know that we have some enrolled students who join us weekly, some students who are just kind of checking us out, see what we're all about, and we also know we have a growing community of educators who are here seeing the resources that we provide for their students so that then you can provide and extend that learning in the classroom as well. So no matter which of those categories you fall into, we are happy that you are here. We always like to throw out a question in the beginning. So today's beginning question, and you can record your responses there in the chat along with telling us where you're joining us from, is this. Tell us whether you plan to take the exam in a computer-based format or whether you are hoping to take your exam, the GED or the HiSET, in a written test center. And if you say, well, I don't know what my options are for that, then we can help you with that as well. So let us know today if you are fully committed to taking your exam at a computer-based test center or one of the new at-home testing options, or if you are hoping to find that traditional Scantron with that written format at your test center. And if you don't know, just put, I don't know, and we will help you to figure out your options where that's concerned. Well, my name's Jen. I'm the student success coach here at Essential Education, proudly partnered with Essential Ed after over 20 years in and out of the classroom. And one of my favorite parts about what I get to do is these times of connection with our student body. And we have a special treat for you today. We are going to introduce the lead of our student advisory team to really give us some great information for today's topic, which is how to organize your essay. You can see it right there. The essay part of the high school equivalency exams, again, either your GED or your HiSET, is something that can strike a little bit of fear, a little bit of nervousness in many test takers. So if you're in that category, you can give that little hand raise emoji and know that you are not alone. This is a common concern, but it's also a larger concern than what it needs to be. So we hope to set some of your minds at ease today, give you a little virtual hug from wherever we are to wherever you are, and give you some really practical advice when it comes to getting the confidence you need, which, if you know you've joined us before, confidence is the biggest factor that you need in taking on all aspects of these exams, giving you the confidence that you need to write a simple, well-organized essay. I'm going to kick us off by giving you three main things that you need to know when getting ready to take on the written portion of your essay. And if you're looking for information on the writing test in general, I'll really quickly point you to two different places. Here on whatever streaming service you are watching us on now, you'll see last week's episode, last week's live stream time together, where we talked about the overall organization of that writing exam for both the GED and the HiSET. So I encourage you to check that out if you didn't. And then we also have a full 45-minute live coaching session where we do that as well. And you can check that out at essentialed.com on our live coaching sessions tab. So you can do a deeper dive into the fullness of the exam. But today we're going to be focusing on this essay, kicking off with three big things that you need to know. The first is to know the essay type. Know the essay type. And the good news is here, now that we're down to just two exams, Task is no longer with us. So that rules out a possible essay type. We're now down to just GED and HiSET to get your high school equivalency exam. That means that there is only one essay type, and it is an argumentative essay. What is that? It means that you're going to be given two different reading passages from two different authors on the same topic, but those two different authors will have very different opinions. Okay, let me say that again. It's an argumentative essay. That's the fancy teacher word that they call it. You'll be given two different passages from two different authors with two vastly different opinions on the same topic. So that is what they are going to do. It's called an argumentative essay because they are going to try to argue their opinion. They're going to try to write in a way that gets you to believe what they are saying. And then after you know that essay type, it's important to know your essay prompt. Okay. And that's again another kind of a fancy education word. A prompt is just the question that you are going to answer. It's a different ask in each of those exams. So we want to kind of clarify that from the onset. So here's the difference. If you're taking the GED and if you're taking the HiSET, yes, you're both going to have an argumentative essay to write, but they ask different questions. They have a different prompt. If you're taking the GED, they are going to ask you, of those two authors and of those two opinions, which author had the strongest opinion and why. They're going to ask you then to back up why you believe that author had the strongest opinion, citing details and evidence from the text itself, from the passages themselves. So that's what the GED is going to ask you to do. If you're taking the HiSET, they are going to ask you to read about those two opinions and then give your own opinion on that topic, citing evidence and details from the passages. So it's the same essay format, the same essay type, argumentative, but the prompt, the ask is different from test to test. So get familiar with what test you're taking and that individual question so that you can practice that in your practice essays. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So know your essay type, know your essay prompt, also know how the essay is graded. The readers for the essay use another fancy teacher word called a rubric. You might hear people put an extra syllable, a rubric, sometimes they call it, but a rubric. And it's just a number-based system. And on that number-based system, it gives clearly defined things that the graders are looking for. And really this revolves around 3 key standards. But before we get to that, I get to drum roll, introduce our special guest today, because she is going to help us really do a deeper dive into how this essay is graded. What are the graders really looking for in your essay? So I'm going to invite her to the stream. We're going to go side by side. Unfortunately, you're just going to see her headshot today, but this is Cassie Resnicek, and she is our lead grader here at Education. She heads up all of our graders that are here to support our students. And if you're already an enrolled student, one of the things that you have as an added benefit is that we do have live graders that when you work on those practice essays, they will return feedback to you based on this rubric, these rubrics that we're going to talk about today within 72 hours. But we'll get to a little bit more information on that in a little bit. Cassie, welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me, Jen.
We are so happy to have you, and we will definitely connect everybody with some information here at the end to get in touch with our fabulous team of student advisors. I cannot say enough about how fortunate we are as an organization that has so many knowledgeable, caring folks that you can just pick up a phone and call and connect to. And Cassie is the leader of the group, leader of the pack, and she is here to talk to us specifically today about this topic of organizing your essay, specifically how that essay is graded. So Cassie, I'm going to go ahead and put up our next point, and everyone's going to see 3 key standards down here at the bottom. You know, in general, there's these 3 different ideas, these main points, these building blocks that test makers are assessing when they put students through the paces of writing the essay for the GED or the HiSET. Can you remind us of what those 3 things are?
Of course. So there are 3: creation of arguments and use of evidence, development of ideas and organizational structure, and then clarity and command of standard English conventions. So with creation of arguments and use of evidence, like you said before, you're going to get 2 passages provided to you when you take the test. The test makers want you to think critically after you read those texts, and they want you to choose a side that you feel like is going to be the best argument, and then providing evidence to support that claim.
Mhm.
Like you said before, HiSET's going to want you to have a personal opinion and give reasons why you believe that side is the best way. And then GED is going to want more clarity through the passage, giving the author's point of view and quoting from the
Mhm.
text. With development of ideas and organizational structure. So once you've figured out the claim or the argument that you'd like to write about, you'll need to develop a set of ideas or topics from the text to support your claim. Each paragraph should touch on each topic that you'd like to support. And then you need to have clear thoughts in each paragraph to support your claim. Make sure that each paragraph talks about the particular piece of evidence before moving on to the next paragraph that's going to cover the
Mhm.
next topic. And then keeping things flowing in an organized fashion, they want you to do about 5 to 7 paragraphs
Mhm.
with an introduction, a body, and a conclusion to make a complete essay, well rounded. And then with clarity and command of standard English conventions, this is pretty simple. They want you
Mhm.
to be able to know basic sentence structure and that you're using proper punctuation, that you can use the correct wording, that you know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
The more you write, the better we're going to be able to understand your writing style and
Mhm.
know what you're talking about. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So I know I know myself as someone who gets a little bit of test anxiety from time to time, especially with subjects that might intimidate me. And when I hear statements like that, creation of arguments and use of evidence and clarity and English language standards, it all sounds a little bit complicated. But is it?
No, it's really not that bad. They just want you to be able to develop a main idea and support it with evidence.
Yeah.
The nice part is that our lessons are going to break that down really well, make it easy to understand, and you can put together a great essay.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at. I know that sometimes when I am breaking down just different things that challenge me, I'll look at some go to standards. I want to see some examples. So I want to kind of maximize our time with you together today and kind of go through a list of things that we should not do, the things that our students need to avoid, a list of don'ts, so to speak, and then move on to a list of do's. Let's go ahead and get the things we want to avoid out of the way. What are some things that some good writers, and that's what we want to be, we want to be good, clear, well organized writers, some things that good writers don't do, things that graders do not want to see?
Of course. So the main thing, a big one, is essays that don't have a main idea.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're answering the question, being straightforward, and staying on topic. That's a big one.
Okay.
So make sure that you have a main idea. Um,
Okay.
Essay that doesn't have details or support. If you don't have
Mhm.
examples or an explanation of why you're arguing the point, you're not really going anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And then an essay that quotes too much from the passage. So anybody who's
Mhm.
summarizing or just rewriting the text, don't want to do that.
I like it
um,
when the author said this and then
yeah.
four sentences. Yeah, we probably want to avoid that.
Yes, use your own words. Commonly misspelled words. That's
Mm,
kind of a given. The there, and there.
yep,
Yeah, run on sentences. So things that are overly wordy, just keep it simple. Make your sentences to the
yep.
point. Yeah. Sentence fragments. So this is the opposite of run on sentence. You're giving
Mhm.
a sentence that's not complete. Make sure that you complete your thought before you finish the sentence. Lack of transitional words. This is a good one.
Mm,
So
mhm.
first, Then next, in conclusion, transitional words are going to be super helpful for the reader, especially to understand where you're at in your essay, give us a really good idea of what you're trying to tell us.
Absolutely.
And then essays that are just too short. We get this a lot, actually. So you want to shoot for 300 to 500 words, or 5 to 7 paragraphs with around 4 to 5 sentences per paragraph. So, like I said before, the more you write, the better your chances are you're going to get a better score.
Yeah. Yeah. All really, really great go-tos. And actually, some things that we address, you've already mentioned if you're an enrolled student with our program, these are all little teeny tiny things that we address along the way. We actually pull out language, that standard English language, as a separate component. Although you aren't taking a language exam, it is a part of either your reading and writing for the GED or the writing for the HiSET. We take you through refreshing your mind of all of those things, but we also have at least 2 live coaching sessions that on the things that you just touched on. We just finished one last week on transitional words, and we've got one coming up this Wednesday on commonly confused words, because we want to help you and support you in whatever capacity we can to come around some of those common trouble spots. So if that's something you're interested in and you don't have information, just make a comment right there in the comments, and I'll make sure we get you connected with those upcoming information sessions. Absolutely free, interactive, and get you connected to some of that. So Cassie, that was a great job on all the things we should avoid, all the things not to do. Let's turn it to a positive. What are some of the things that good writers do? Some things that graders are going to say, yep, I see you. That's a good job. Yep, I see that. That's a good job. Check, check, check. What are some things that successful writers do?
Yeah, so successful writers are going to plan ahead. This is very important, especially in the very beginning of getting that essay put together. Map out what you're going to write about so you have a clear idea. That way you can put it all together easily. You have it in concise terms, and your paragraphs are already lined out for you. Big thing. And then edit as you go. Don't wait until the end to ask yourself, does this make sense? As you go, read through it and just make sure that you're writing it complete sentences, all that good stuff. Use those language skills, like you said, that they've learned in the test prep. Graders want to see the skills that you guys are learning here. Proper grammar, subject-verb agreements, correct use of commas, punctuation, apostrophes, all that jazz. You definitely want to use transitional words, connecting words. They make it easy for us to read it. Great thing to use. And then, of course, answer the question.
Don't forget that.
Don't forget to answer the question. That's the big thing. Main idea. Make sure you're putting in that. Again, if you're taking the GED, you'll need to write from the author's perspective, adding the strongest opinion and why. And then if you're taking the HiSET, your personal opinion on the topic. Yes. So once you've finished, this is a big one as well, do a quick read through of your essay. Proofreading is so important. It'll help catch any typos, spelling errors, sentences that don't belong. So important, and it makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then relax. Graders are not they're not looking for a perfect essay by any means. So don't get caught up in using big words, complex sentences. Think simple, to the point. Simple is better than fancy and complicated.
For sure. And I think that goes both ways. If I think that helps to build that relaxation, that helps to build that confidence when you say to yourself, I don't have to be the next great novelist. Maybe you are. Maybe that is. Maybe this is where your skill set is, but you don't put that pressure on yourself. I just have to give them a main idea, my central idea, and then back it up. So I think that really, those are great points to stick with. So Cassie, what would you then say to a student right now who is preparing for this essay portion of the exam? What are some good resources that you can point to?
Yeah, our program, of course, is a
Of
great
course.
resource. Lessons we offer, they're going to break it down for you into bite-sized pieces, make it really easy to understand. Our practice tests or practice essays are going to be a wonderful experience for you. The more you're able to practice those writing examples and reading the text, all of that is going to be super helpful. The more you practice, the better you're going to get. And then with those, our grading team is there behind you. They're real people. You're not getting a computer that's grading it. You're usually actually going to hear back within 24 to 48 hours. So we do our best to get it back as quickly as possible for you, so you can get as many practice essays in as you want. And then finally, our student advisors. Our team is fantastic. If you get that essay back and you're having questions about it, we're happy to go over it with you, give you more details, and just walk you through it if you need it. So just reach out to us.
Yeah, that feedback is so important. So many people kind of live in fear of that feedback, but we really should learn to embrace that. You know, nobody loves to see the areas where they're weaker and they need to strengthen, but you have no idea of knowing what those areas are. You may think you're doing a great job of giving details and evidence, and then you get some feedback that says, hey, you know, you just gave 1 or 2 examples, try to give 3 or 4, or whatever it might be in that area. And that's not a negative. You really need to embrace that as a positive, saying, hey, you know, I'm on the right track already. I've already done 1 or 2 things I need to do. I just need to do this next time. So I think that's the opportunity that you really have with that feedback there. And then just being able to call someone and say, hey, can you explain this to me a little bit? You know, give me some direct examples. And the GED site actually has some really good examples as well. They give some sample prompts, they give some sample essays. So as always, we always like to point you to those national testing sites, GED.com and HiSET.org as your main go-to. Again, that's where you'll go to register for your exams and check any scores, and then order your diploma when you get it, and any transcripts that you need along the way. Well, Cassie, we're going to go ahead and say a big thank you to you, and we will wish you well. Thank you for all that you do here at Essential Education for our students.
Thank you, Jen.
And you might get to talk to Cass soon if you pick up the phone right now and talk to a student advisor. Talk to a student advisor, and we can really help. Let's review while we close out here. Just like we started with 3 things that you need to know about your essay, let's give you 3 prep tips before we go. And the first prep tip is to address those tested skills. Know what the writers, or the graders rather, of that written exam, know what they expect. And we went over 3 of those today in real brief. It's creating that argument, that main idea, and that use of evidence, developing your ideas in an organized way, using those transitional words, and then making sure it's clear and easy to read. And then, as Cassie said, write some sample essays. Get that under your belt. Get that, you know, into your mind. Just like taking practice tests is important, writing those practice essays is equally important. So make sure that you're taking the fear out of that by getting a comfort level there. And then get help. Get help. You know, we always end these times together, as well as our live coaching sessions, and you see it all over our site as well. You can do this. We can help. And we want to give you information there on our website. If you want to check it out on your own, you can do so at essentialed.com/students. You can get not only information about the essay and the writing exam, but all of the parts of testing, pre-testing, preparation for your exam, and then what happens after you get your credential in hand. We want to help you with that as well. And we would be remiss if we did not give you this phone number right now. You can reach out to our, again, wonderful team of student advisors at 1-800-460-8150. You really can do this. and we can help. Reach out and let us know how today. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope to see you again on another live stream soon. Take care.